We Americans, we have, prided ourselves on, the greatness of our country, which it is,
Mhm.
um, and sort of glossed over the areas that
Mhm.
needed much more work, and we didn't pay enough attention to our education system, which was like the most important thing that you could, it's. I think you have a quote too, by Hitler in your presentation when he talks about, is it about educating the children or just
So you said, "He who owns the youth owns the future."
mm, yeah,
And, interestingly enough, by 1939, 90% of the Hitler Youth were a part of the Hitler Youth Organization. And that was a way not only to draw them away from their families and to teach them all day long, which
yep,
what our school does, right?
hmm,
Um, but also to get their ideology into the family unit, because and that's really the thing. At the end of every presentation, I always say, focus on your family, because
yeah,
the family is the thing that'll prevent your children from getting indoctrinated into a lot of these ideologies. Because if you're close to your kids and you're talking to them about this stuff, and they, we use the dinner table to talk about stuff like socialism and capitalism and free
yeah,
market system and this and that. And sometimes my kids are the best kind of tattletales on what's going on at school.
oh
Like,
yes,
Mom, there's an LGBTQ inclusion flag, even though it's written that there's only supposed to be American flags at school,
mm,
in my classroom. Or um, gosh, I had this lesson and it talked about privilege or power. So it's interesting, but really the kids' minds are so plastic and they're so easily manipulated at certain stages of their life, right? When
yeah,
they're young, and they're in our care, right? The first 5 years are so important. It's really where a lot of their social emotional learning skills are formed. And
very
then when
true,
they're teenagers, they kind of are a little bit more moldable as well. And so this
yeah,
is where you're seeing they're really kind of hitting them hard with these ideologies in high school and kind of late middle school.
yeah. So, how old are your children? Remind me.
8, 11, and 14.
Okay. So mine are 15 and 13. How are your kids, besides being like little, your undercover investigators, which I love. I think that's fantastic. I'm like, yeah, let's recruit them. Recruit them all. How are they
Mhm.
handling it? Like, what do they think about all this stuff that's going on in schools in the country? Or are they just kind of like, oh my God, I'm so sick of it?
Sometimes like, Mom, can we talk about something else? I have to actively, well, and I ask them about their days, and
Yeah.
they're always kind of, I think especially the teenager, he's worried that I'm going to cause too much trouble for him at school. He's a freshman, and
Yeah.
um, they don't want to be embarrassed by their parent
Right.
making a stink at school. But I think
Yeah.
overall, they know what I'm doing. I
Mhm.
think they're really proud of what I'm doing because they
Yeah.
understand I'm fighting for them and for their future.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest moments we had over the summer was right before school started. And our health department was trying to put another mask mandate in place. And we had fought so hard to get it taken out in the first place.
Yeah.
And we had shown up to one of the county council meetings, and um, my 8-year-old, she had been suffering major anxiety at school because of the
Mhm.
masks, wearing the mask. So like really,
Yeah.
and you see this a lot with the kids who are wearing the mask. And
Yeah.
I think I even kind of have more anxiety when I wear a mask and I'm out in
Yeah.
public. Um, just because your brain kind of is like, I can't. If you wear it for too long, you're like, I can't breathe. Like it feels
Right.
weird on your face. You're not used to
Yeah.
it. And so by the end of last year's school session, she some days was hiding under her desk, um, having like panic attacks.
Mm.
And it's so sad, to hear that your child's going through that at school.
Yeah.
And, she kind of had a little break from the mass. It was like the end of summer, and we went to this county council meeting. And I was trying to show them how they were kind of padding the numbers of what the percentage of people were that had COVID in the hospitals, especially when it came to kids.
Yeah.
And she came with me one day and she's like, Mommy, I want to go up there and talk to those county council members. It was during the public comment session. And I
Yeah.
was like thinking to myself how much anxiety she was having. I'm like, honey, you don't have to do that. Like, I'm taking you with you
Right.
because I have to, because you have to watch you.
Right.
You don't have to go up there. And I wasn't even actually planning to speak that day.
Mhm.
Um, and she's like, no, I want to. And
Wow.
my brave little girl who was suffering panic attacks went up there and was like, it's hard not seeing people's faces at school, and I can't see them smile at me. And this is hard. Like, it's my baby.
Yeah.
She was saying how you know she's like, carbon dioxide is for trees, and she's like, we're breathing our own carbon dioxide. And I was like, wow. It's funny, like, she must listen to my conversations when I'm on the phone or whatever.
Right.
And of course, the haters were like, oh, she prepped her child. And I was like, you don't even know. I was trying to get her not to go up there.
Right.
And when the county council finally did vote out that mask mandate, they overturned it. My kids were there holding signs.
Wow.
Saying "Let me breathe," and the crowd saying the Star Spangled Banner, and you could just tell, like, my kids had a moment, and it's a blessing and a curse, right? This, what we're going through right now with our liberties being infringed upon.
Yeah.
It's hard that we have to fight for them, but it's so good for our kids to see that freedom isn't free,
Right?
And freedom we have to fight for our freedom, and we have a civic responsibility to know what's going on in our cities and our towns, and to speak up when we feel like something's wrong. So,
Wow.
But anyways, yeah, I think they're proud. They're proud of what I'm doing, and I think even my 14-year-old, even though sometimes he's embarrassed, he's like, Mom, I know when you're old and too tired to do this stuff, he's like, I'm going to take over for you.
Oh my gosh, that is so sweet. Well, God bless you and your children. That is so awesome. That's so touching. My youngest, when I told her that, they weren't going to have to wear masks, she goes, oh my God, Mommy, I can be free. I love that. I mean, I don't think
Quisha, at the end of the day, we are just moms who care about our kids, right?
Yeah. Gosh, it's in the hustle and bustle of it all. Even before, we got into this work, and I think sometimes you can forget, what it's like as a child going through all of this stuff, like not, the whole COVID thing. We haven't paid it. I don't think we've paid attention enough. Like some of these stories that I hear, children going through, like your daughter, hiding under a desk, and you see children who are being like bullied by teachers, being called all kinds of names by teachers because they're not wearing the mask properly, or they don't want to wear the mask, or they're complaining about the mask, or whatever it is. People have just gotten psychotic with these ideas. It's too much. And I implore all parents to, even if you want your child to wear a mask, okay, let's just say you want your child to wear a mask. You might want your child to wear a mask, but you clearly don't want them to have some type of mental illness. You don't want them to have some type of mental breakdown. Talk to your kids, like pay attention to them, make sure that they're okay, because along with making sure we don't have a Marxist generation, a next generation, we don't also want children to be mentally impaired by something that could have been prevented.